It's always very interesting to me when I see other MDs or, people in the medical field doing things outside of the realm of just clinical practice. Sometimes you find really, really random examples of non-clinically working MDs, or even people who are working clinically and just decided to go off the beaten road and, kind of do their own thing as well. I just discovered this video. It just popped up in my suggested feed, and it's the health benefits of Dance Dance Revolution, or DDR. And as you guys all know, I am a huge fan of rhythm games, and this was made by Digital Doc Games. And basically I was curious, is this actually, is this an MD who made this, or who is this person who's behind this? They've got 1,000 subscribers, and they've got a pretty interesting catalog of videos that they've made so far.
Hey guys,
you can see, sensitive themes in video games, using video games to improve patient engagement, exploring Diabetes Island, a fun and educational experience in Animal Crossing, how Guerrilla Games got dementia right in Horizon Forbidden West. And I ended up, kind of Googling and trying to figure out who this guy was. And I found that he is an MD, in fact. It's myriad Fredman. And so I'm just going to slap a follow on there and, subscribe to him as well, because I feel like I'm very interested in seeing what the other content he makes is going to be looking like. So here's just a quick example of part of his video. And honestly, the production quality is so much better than whatever I'm able to make. I feel like my production quality is very low. I really have all these fancy ideas for how I'd like my videos to look in my mind, but I kind of accepted the fact that I probably won't have video quality up to this standard, at least not for now, unless somebody shows me how to do it. But here's a quick example.
Now, back to DDR. From the footage you've seen so far, I think you can understand the health benefits associated with it. It's largely high-intensity interval training, aka HIIT, that also places stress on the quads, calves, tris, and tests your core stability. However, the intense nature of these workouts can cause injuries, especially if you are a beginner without a solid athletic background.
So it's very interesting for me to actually see somebody who is actually pretty well knowledged in the DDR space, because I'm not hugely into DDR where I know all the ins and outs about it, but there's some DDR YouTubers that I like watching, and this guy watches the exact same ones, and so I kind of wonder, how often he goes to DDR and plays. Does he go to round one like I do, the local arcade? And so he's showing a bunch of examples of people playing DDR here. This is Chris for Life, who's basically the top DDR player in the world, or at least several times he was. And I actually did recently create a playlist of all my favorite DDR videos that if I ever wanted to show somebody, example of high-level DDR play, these are what I would show them. And so here's some examples. So this is Chris for Life, which he showed in his video as well. And this is him getting 100% correct. So the timing window on DDR is extremely, extremely strict. It's not like Pump It Up, which is the Korean version of DDR with 5 arrow pads that I actually like playing as well. But in that game, the timing is pretty lenient. And so you can actually be pretty off with your timing and still get a perfect score. But for DDR, I've been getting more into DDR recently because of how strict the timing window is. It really forces you to be exactly at, hit the note at the exact right moment, which is really, really a huge test of skill. And so what this guy does is he is all about the accuracy and the rhythm and the timing. And so he goes for these 100% full quad, full combo completions of songs, where not only does he hit every single note in a row, but he also does not miss the timing in the slightest. So you notice that there's a fantastic timing up here and then this white fantastic. So either of those will give you 100% credit. But if you're anywhere slightly off from that, so for example, if you get excellent, there's also good, and then there's bad here, then you automatically cannot get 100% full completion, even if you complete the entire song without missing a note. You have to have both the timing and hitting all the notes in order to get full 100%. So it's extremely, extremely difficult to do. And he's one of the best at doing it. So those flashing red circles are, those are mines in this version of DDR. So you have to avoid hitting those. So hard to get the timing on these parts right, because these notes are not spaced evenly. Watch this part. beating that is like pretty crazy. All right, and this is where he finishes and he gets 100%.
Oh my god!
So you can tell it's definitely a big deal for him to get 100%. It's not easy to get his... So you have to hit the note within like a 3-frame timing window. So you cannot be like even a slight bit off in order to get 100%. Some other really good videos that I think showcases this is this song, which shows like a really significant slowing and then speeding up to the tempo. And then at the same time, he's still maintaining that perfect timing. So just still 16. Maintaining that. And obviously you have the classic DDR level Asian YouTube video that most people have seen. And this is Pump It Up. And this song is actually not super difficult. This is actually a fairly easy song. This is the part that gets fast. Just imagine having that huge crowd behind you. And that's one of the fun things about playing DDR2 is like after a while, like you'll see like random people start to watch you as you play it, even though people think it's nerdy and it's just some random Asian guy playing DDR, you know, it's actually pretty fun. So anyways, finding this channel was really cool. And then I saw that he, you know, wrote this op-ed on Medium, and it says, "I graduated from medical school, but I won't be practicing clinical medicine." And he wrote it in May 18th, 2020, which is when I graduated from medical school. So I actually wonder if he graduated at the same time that I did, in which case we are definitely like peers in terms of, you know, graduating and everything. And his description is taking the path less traveled, non-clinical doctor entrepreneur, passionate about digital health and hashtag video games, which is really cool to see this combination of both of these fields. So today I graduated from medical school alongside 100 of my classmates, but I am certain my MD means something different to me than it does to my now hooded peers. That's due to the fact that after trying 4 trying years of medical school, which consisted of rigorous classes and anatomy labs, endless days and nights, spent cramming an almost unbelievable amount of medical trivia into my head for a series of board exams and challenging rotations in internal medicine, surgery, pediatrics, OBGYN, primary care, and psychiatry, I will not be practicing clinical medicine. I'm taking my MD somewhere else. So definitely he's gone through the whole gamut. Like he did all of medical school already. And yes, he did graduate at the same time as me. Medical school was difficult for me. The first 2 years started off well enough. While I noticed some of my classmates seemed a bit more interested in our preclinical courses than I was, I chalked it up to a normal case of imposter syndrome and repeatedly told myself that once I started rotating through the local hospitals and getting my hands dirty, my excitement about medicine would finally catch up to theirs. To be honest, I feel like a lot of people probably go through something similar, you know, especially if you haven't had a ton of work experience before going into medicine. You may be questioning all throughout medical school and even, you know, well into residency, like, did I make the right decision? Should I be pursuing this path? I do like that medicine does afford you so much flexibility. So you can do completely non-clinical things, like it seems like he has. But even within the field, if you just choose to go into internal medicine, for example, or any of the other various specialties, there are so many opportunities to get involved in a specific niche of that field that I almost feel that no matter what you go into, clinically or non-clinically, you will be able to find something that will kind of match what you're actually going to be passionate about doing. So for those of you who are still concerned about whether you made the right decision or not to go into medical school and pursue medicine, don't worry. I do think that no matter what you do, you will be able to tailor your future job and figure out a path that really, you know, fits with you. Obviously, it's a very difficult process, and I'm making it sound a lot simpler than it actually is. But just knowing the broad range of different fields and careers you could go into is, I think, a little bit reassuring. So he goes on to say, while I continued to do well in my rotations, receiving passing grades and the occasional honors, and always making good connections with my patients, I struggled to play the role of an eager medical student while secretly searching for some way out of the hospital. I balanced my hospital duties, classes, and exams with other extracurricular activities I picked up to help me see what else was out there, like designing medical scenarios for a startup that made virtual reality simulations. That actually sounds really fun to me, and I did see that there were a lot of, anatomy classes that were starting to use virtual reality to kind of really segment and like really get a good look at the, human anatomy, it's almost more advantageous than using a cadaver because it's a lot easier. You can go back in time if you need to. So I'm really curious to hear what the VR situation for anatomy lab is like these days. In the back row of didactics, I angled my computer away from my classmates while I browsed websites and forums that listed non-clinical careers for doctors. I remember the day I decided not to pursue a residency perfectly. I was deep into my third year of school and in line at a CVS Minute Clinic with my pregnant wife who needed the Tdap vaccine. As we exited the store, somewhere between the deodorant and shampoo aisles, I turned to my wife and blurted out that I just had to make a decision about my future. She agreed. The next words that came out of my mouth must have been sitting on the tip of my tongue for some time because I could feel them pressing my lips forward, begging to be released into the world. As they poured out, I felt the weight of 1,000 lead shields lift off my shoulders. I am not doing residency. And I can't imagine him going through that. That must have been an incredibly difficult decision for him to make. And that's the reason he's expressing so much anguish about making this decision in this paragraph, because truly to make a decision like that is something that's going to be very, very conflicting because your whole life you've prepared yourself and you've envisioned yourself to going into clinical medicine, becoming a doctor, treating patients and things like that. And then you've put yourself through the rigor of medical school and you've done all this studying. And then it almost feels like if you were to go out into non-clinical medicine, that you're giving up on that dream and that you're letting yourself down and all that work that you've done in the past is for waste. I could totally empathize with those being the feelings that he had to grapple with during this process. There are a lot of reasons I don't want to pursue a residency. For a long time, when people would press me about my decision, I would find myself naming every reason I don't want to be a clinician and trying to convince them that the reason to become a physician cannot simply be summarized by their suggested, what could be better than helping people? As I started interviewing for other jobs and my lighter fourth-year schedule allowed me to spend more time with my newborn daughter, which I don't doubt played a huge factor in his decision to not pursue residency and clinical medicine because it's a huge sacrifice. You're not going to be able to spend much time with family during residency. I do not view the years I spent training to be a doctor, the dollars spent, exams taken, and nights wrapped in paper-thin sheets, grabbing 10 minutes of sleep in an on-call room at the hospital, wishing I was in my own bed as a waste. They brought me to where I am today. Most importantly, it is a symbol of the journey I went through to discover what I wanted the rest of my life to look like. As perfectly summed up by the greetings card my wife got me for graduation, I am exactly who I'm supposed to be. So honestly, a very nice read. I can see why he took the time to write this because this is probably part of the process of processing his decision to not pursue a clinical position. This is not uncommon at all. And if you go on YouTube, you will see so many physicians and doctors leaving medicine. So, I just typed in doctor leaves medicine and you get all of these videos talking about all of the people who, did residency or just decided not to do residency. And so many people are dropping out of medicine. You've got these, big YouTubers here, Kevin Jabal, Ali Abdal. I saw some other person, this Santiago guy is not going to pursue residency either. And this big anesthesiologist also quit. So just so many people deciding not to pursue clinical medicine. All right, so I'm reading this other post by somebody on his page by Andre Javier Gonzalez, MD. And it's basically talking about the same kind of thoughts about whether they should pursue residency or not. And this person also wrote that medicine is a part of me, but I'm also passionate about gaming, business, and technology. I wondered what it would look like if those interests mixed and what career path could be born from that collision of passions. I took a deep breath, hitched my pack, whipped out a Sengeli energy sword, Halo fans will know, and headed left into the unknown. And it sounds like they're starting to work for this company called Level X. It was a welcomed oasis where other rogues and trailblazers gathered trying to build something innovative and transformative by combining medicine with education and gaming. Level X creates video games for doctors that use the neuroscience of play to increase learning in aspiring and established healthcare professionals. All right, just checking out levelx.com, advancing the practice of medicine through play. So a pretty nice, well-designed website. Level X is the world's leading medical video game studio. So Level X uses advanced game mechanics and technology to spark this neurochemical response, balancing skill and challenge, triggering reward pathways, promoting learning, and accelerating the development of lasting mental models. Medical education anywhere, anytime. And then they have this derm game that they've built, this cardio game. You can see there's some kind of path that they're taking, and they've got some health and satisfaction and some kind of aspirin and clopidogrel versus warfarin. So that's kind of interesting. I can't imagine the difficulty of building a game like this, especially because you would have to constantly be updating it to match clinical guidelines. Very, very difficult. They got this cool game where you like go in with a bronchoscopy, Pulm X, and you remove papillomas. Treat lifelike virtual patients presenting with restrictive and obstructive airway diseases and remove an array of foreign objects in cases that challenge even the most experienced pulmonologist. And then Airway X and Gastro X. Honestly, I've strayed a little bit away from what the original point of this video was, which was I found a really cool DDR video, and then it happened to be made by another MD. And then I went down this whole rabbit hole of this person pursuing non-clinical medicine and combining their passion for video games with medicine. So really, it's just interesting to see what people have been doing. And I think for those of you who are unsure of what path you're going to take, just be aware that there really are a lot of other alternative things that you can do that may be more up your alley. What are some interesting non-clinical ways you've thought about applying yourself in the field of medicine? And have you ever considered combining your passions for one of your hobbies or video games, for example, with the passion of medicine as well? Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and peace.